Good evening, everyone. Today we will be looking into the causes of the American Revolution, a period of revolt and revolution in the late 18th century. This was a time of growing discontent among the colonists in the then British American colonies. We will explore how the rapid rise of the settler population, British taxation without representation, the chain reaction from the French and Indian War, and British economic policies all contributed to the cause. Let us now start this journey. In the mid-1700s, the population of the American colonies was rapidly increasing. From 200,000 people at the time the 13 colonies were established, the number had grown to 2 million in 1770. This was starkly different from Britain's population, which was growing at a slower pace. This caused a shift in the colonists' outlook, one that was associated with their individual colonies rather than with Britain. Their identity and economic interests lay within their colonies, and over time this created an emergence of a unique history distinct from Europe. All these changing dynamics led to the American Revolution. Americans of the time realized that this meant that Parliament could pass any laws it liked, including taking away property or any of the colonists' rights. They realized they had to take a stand for their rights and fight for independence. The slide number 3 is about a fundamental issue during the American Revolution: taxation without representation. The British Parliament imposed taxes on the colonists, but the colonists had no say in the lawmaking process. This meant that the British could take away any of the colonists' rights or property, making them feel as if they had been completely robbed. This led to the famous slogan, "No taxation without representation," and was a major factor in Americans' decision to fight for independence. The French and Indian War played a major role in the eventual American Revolution, which followed in 1775. After the British declared victory in 1763, the colonies were left with a huge national debt, leading to strained ties between the British government and the colonists. The British viewed the colonists as unappreciative and unwilling to cover the expenses of defending the boundaries and the empire from Native Americans. This heavy strain would eventually become unmanageable, leading to the beginning of the American Revolution. The British government imposed a series of taxes and trade regulations on the American colonies, which stirred up much discontentment among the colonists. This included the Sugar Act of 1764, Stamp Act of 1765, Townshend Acts of 1767, and Tea Act of 1773. These acts were established in order to help Britain cover the costs of the 7 Years' War and regulate trade. But the colonists strongly disagreed with them, feeling that it was an act of economic exploitation. This laid the groundwork for the American Revolution. British rule of the colonies was seen as oppressive. The Quartering Act of 1765 and writs of assistance granted authorities the right to search without providing warrants. This was compounded by the Intolerable Acts of 1774, which closed Boston Harbor and revoked Massachusetts' charter. The Boston Massacre added to the already growing tensions between the colonies and Britain, leading to a rebellion. Let us now examine these events in more detail.
The other reason for the American Revolution was the intellectual movement known as the Enlightenment. It was based on the belief that human beings, not God or gods, should be the central intellectual concern, that the lives of human beings could be improved over time. This is the idea of progress, and that the improvement can continue indefinitely. The Enlightenment rejected tradition and automatic obedience to authority as guides to human behavior and social organization. Instead, the Enlightenment asserted that science and reason should guide human behavior and social organization. The Enlightenment was centered in France and Britain, but its ideas also resonated strongly in North America. John Locke and Thomas Paine, both of whom were British-born, were particularly important as far as their social and political ideas of self-determination were concerned. Britain was a monarchy, and the king's authority to rule was based on divine right, which itself is a dogma and a tradition, and not a scientifically or logically based political arrangement.